Is it?
Hello, everyone.
Hi everyone, thanks for joining this LinkedIn Live, and we are so excited to see you. And today we have our special guest, Pallavi. So before we go ahead and introduce Pallavi, so we're gonna have a few words about Bharat Dreaming. So we're coming up with the Bharat Dreaming event happening in Jaipur on 13th of July. So if you don't know about Bharat Dreaming before, Bharat Dreaming is all for the community, and we have many sessions focused for everybody in the Trailblazer community, may it be the beginners or the intermediate or the advanced learners. There's something for everybody to learn. So there's also a focus on the mental health, equality, partners, and startup community as well. So we have lots in store for you all. So the vision of the Bharat Dreaming is to bring everyone together and also provide a learning opportunity for everyone and also an equal opportunity for everybody in the Trailblazer community. And we also have some sessions focused on the career transformation. So there, I personally know many people who have switched from a different career to Salesforce, and they have been successful in the Salesforce, and it's so inspiring to learn about their stories as well. So we have a special sessions focused on the career transformation as well. And the unique opportunities that we have at Bharat Dreaming is the pre-event workshop. So we have 4 pre-event workshops planned on the day before the event, that is on the 12th of July. So the workshops are going to be on AI plus data cloud workshop, and data cloud workshop will be the implementation workshop, and marketing cloud workshop, and the Salesforce flows. So we will provide hands-on orgs for each of these workshops. So please be prepared to bring your own laptops and be prepared to absorb everything that you're going to learn at the event. There is a lot going on in the plans, so we're planning to bring the best event for you. And if you haven't yet registered, so make sure that if you are available, make sure to register for the pre-event workshop and also for the after party. And the estimated number of audience is 1,000 plus. So we have our advisors as Gaurav, Kavindra, and Geda. And here's our co-team, our co-founders and organizers. Firstly, it's me, Jyotsna. I go by the name JB. I'm a Salesforce MVP and the Golden Hoodie recipient. So I'm so excited to be talking to you all, and also for the opportunity to introduce our other co-founders. Here's our Kapil Batra. So he's not able to attend the call today, but he's also a Salesforce MVP, and he's known for his learning videos on Salesforce Bolt. That is his YouTube channel. There is a lot of learning content over there. And we do have Kuldeep. Kuldeep, please go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hello. I'm a Salesforce MVP, marketing champion. I'm a founder of Marketathon program, and I'm a Jaipur user group leader. I'm also managing the Jaipur Pride as well, and I'm 9x Salesforce certified. So thank you for joining this today, and I'm really excited, Pallavi, for hear from a lot of things from you. So yeah, over to you, Javi, please.
Thank you. And we do have Om. Om is not able to join. So he's also Salesforce MVP, and he is the founder of Appicrown. And he leads a user group in Motihari, and he is known for his active involvement in the community, and he is a mentor and a business consultant as well. So here are some of the highlights of the event. So we do have keynote speakers as Kavindra Patel, Marisa, Sanket Atal, and Pushpa Mai, and Gilda Hilaire for the closing keynote. And we have planned around 24 plus sessions and panel discussions with all key leaders in the industry. We do have pre-event workshops planned on AI plus data cloud, marketing cloud, and Salesforce flows. And there are some mentorship opportunities for few people who are attending the event. The MVPs and champions will be the mentors, and you can have an opportunity to meet them and also ask your questions or get their guidance. And there's an opportunity to meet with the product experts, the industry experts, the leaders, the MVPs, and get your questions answered. There is a lot of learning and networking opportunities. And I'm going to quickly share a discount code that is applicable only today for the next few hours. So just make a screenshot of this, and if you haven't already registered, please use this code to avail the discount opportunity. So I think that is all from our end. So I would like to invite our guest speaker, Pallavi, and I'm so excited to invite Pallavi and to introduce her. Pallavi is a good friend of mine, and also she is very welcoming and very helping. Um, on the professional level, she is the CEO of the Candor Consulting, and she has been in the consulting field for around like 18 plus years now. So she is a mentor, and she is easy to approach, and she is welcoming, as I said. So it's so glad to have you here, Pallavi, and we are all ears to share to listen to what you have to share today.
Sounds good. Well, thank you for the very kind intro. I don't know how much of that is true. I think it's all lies. No, just kidding. Thank you again for having me here. First of all, I'm really sad I can't be there in person. Jaipur is actually my ancestral hometown, and it would have been so nice to be there with the Ohana for Power Dreaming. So I hope those that are attending, you will get the most out of it. I was at an event last year and it was phenomenal. So if you are on the fence of going, I highly recommend you go. Jaipur one is a beautiful city, but what the organizers are putting together for the event is going to be phenomenal. And you know, a couple people from the states that are headed over there, and they're very excited for this event. So hopefully you will be there. Hopefully you'll network, mingle, and get the most out of it. So let's start with our slides. And thank you for being here today. I'm going to share how, skills around how to be a successful BA. I always like to do the forward looking statement because a lot of the stuff we talk about may or may not be out in the market. So always make your purchase decisions accordingly. And before we get started, I just want to say thank you to everybody taking personal time on today to come here to attend the event means your dedication is there and you're showing up. So thank you for allowing me to be here and thank you for showing up. So as Jyotsna mentioned, I've been in the ecosystem for consulting for a very long time. I have been doing consulting for 18 plus years now. I started as a business analyst and then worked my way up to a portfolio director to then eventually owning my own company. And through all that, I was really focused on design and design architect without knowing I was doing design or design architect. That's really where the BA skills come in. Outside of that, I'm a design ambassador for Salesforce, a recent Golden Hoodie recipient. I co lead the DC admin group, and I am one of the co-creators of Boba Blazer. When I'm not busy between my volunteer and running the company, I do love to travel for fun. I travel around the world. I snowboard. It's one of my biggest hobbies in the winter, and I hike mountains in the summer. So that's a little bit about me. My LinkedIn is there. If you do reach out to me on LinkedIn, please send a note always as how you met me and why you want to connect. So then talk about what is business analyst. I always like to define things before we jump right into it because I want to make sure we're all aligned on what we're talking about today. A business analyst, even if you don't have the formal title, is somebody who's focused on improving the business, making project success happen, is helping guide the business to help make those improvements through technology. If you think about a business analyst, they're really that one liaison between IT and business. So the best way I was explaining it to one of my business analysts the other day was think about how you can speak two languages. Business is speaking a language to you. You're then translating that into a language that IT can understand. That's the best way to describe a business analyst. They have to be able to work on both ends and be able to bridge the gap. I'm going to pause and see throughout Kuldeep and Jyotsna, if you guys could help me, if anyone wants to interject and has questions, please feel free to ask questions throughout the presentation or comments. So, some of the skills to think about, and these are not all the skills, and again, this is my personal bias after doing it for so long, that I feel that these are some of the skills that are needed to be a successful BA. First one is critical thinking, clear communication, problem solving, and so on and so forth. We're going to get into each of these, and I think in totality, you have to have most of these to be a successful BA. It's not about just having one or the other. It really is encompassing these skills to be able to successfully progress in your career. When I started in my consulting career, I started at Accenture as a business analyst. I had no IT background. I studied international business and marketing. And coming into Accenture and doing software consulting, I didn't even know what software really meant. What was I doing here? But what made me successful within weeks and months in my career were these skill sets. Being able to communicate clearly, document things, have those interpersonal skill set, and be adaptable. That really helped me. And then over time, I learned the other skills and grew in my career. So let's talk through critical thinking. This one's really about, it's not problem solving, it's actually understanding why we're solving the problem. What is it that we're really trying to get into? So, this is where we're analyzing situations in a logical way, seeing the full picture as much as we can with the information that's present, thinking about certain assumptions we may have to make to bring the rest of the picture together, or asking questions to get a bigger picture. So sometimes we'll talk about it as a 10,000-foot view and then a 100-foot view. So at the 10,000-foot view, you're looking at it at a very, very high level. And then at the 100-foot view, you're more deep in the weeds. So that's really what we're talking about with critical thinking. Can you look at all of that to really identify the root cause? Why are we planning to solve this problem? The business has represented us with a problem. Is that truly the problem they're asking for? Or is it something else and we need to get to the root of it? Any questions so far or comments? Okay. So the second one is clear communication. So clear communication isn't just about speaking clearly and making sure that the words that are coming out of my mouth people can understand in the same language. It's actually about what we say is like, are you catching what I'm throwing? So meaning like what I am trying to convey to you, are you actually understanding that? Or are you understanding something different? That's what clear communication is about. And as a BA, you actually have to learn other people's way of communication, of how they receive information, to then be able to communicate clearly in a way that they will receive the information that is what you're trying to convey. So, for example, in this one, you could say, "How was your day?" And someone could just say, "Good." But you might have meant to ask more details around it. So, because they just thought that you were asking a very simple question, "How was your day?" I responded as good. The communication was still clear, but your objectives were not met. And that's what we mean by clear communication. Asking it and, "Hey, how did your day go today? What did you do?" Now they might be able to answer it a bit more deeply. And now they understand what you're trying to ask. Any questions or comments there? Okay. Another big one is problem solving. This is major as a BA because this is really what we're trying to do. We're trying to solve a problem. That's why there's a project. That's where we're trying to enhance the systems, do implementations, troubleshoot, and things like that. But for us, again, tying critical thinking to problem solving is really what's going to make it unique, because this is where we want to be able to identify the problem, confirm that truly that is the problem we should be solving for, understand the different issues around the problem, and then look at multiple solutions on how this can be solved to ensure that you're covering everybody who might be impacted by that problem. And what we mean by that is a lot of times when we are looking into how to solve a problem as a BA, you should be identifying personas. So you might have a problem where the the data for the so let's talk about it. So opportunities, the problem is we can't see how many opportunities closed last month. And that might be coming from the sales team. But outside of the sales persona, you also have the delivery persona because once we close the deal, someone has to deliver on them. You also have the finance persona because they need to know what to bill and how to accrue. You also have the executive persona to see from an exec perspective, what are our numbers? Are we hitting them? Are we not hitting them? What does this mean for the business? Are we taking it to the right direction? So then, even though it's one problem, now we're evaluating solutions in a way that solve for all the different personas and categories to ensure that we can, in truth, solve in an effective way and get to the root of the problem. The root of the problem might not have been we can't see how many opportunities are being closed in a given month. The root of the problem could have been and may have been we actually don't know how much revenue to commit or the number of resources we'll need for upcoming work. We don't have a way of forecasting. And that could have been the root of the problem. So that's where you want to like really look through the question or the problem that's being presented to you and then understand, is that truly the problem? Is there something deeper? And ask the right questions to get to the root of that problem through critical thinking, and then analyze it, look at different ways of solutioning it, work through those different solutions, and then figure out which solution or solutions will best fit the need of that problem. In all of this, documentation is really the key. I think documentation, we all get so busy, and I am guilty of it in my own company, is I will jump on calls, I will do stuff. Um, I'll ask the team to make some changes in our Salesforce org, but I won't always give them exactly what I was looking for, document any of it. And then they'll come back and be like, Pavi, we need more information. And they're like, oh, right. And that's when we've started utilizing AI tools to be able to document some of these things for us since we have so much going on. But that documentation makes such a huge difference because when we move team members around because we get busy and we're switching resources, having that documentation makes a huge difference in ensuring that the person coming in net new to that situation has a historical background of exactly what we were doing, has an understanding of what we're trying to do and where we're trying to go, and can pick it up from there and move things forward. Also, then they have ways to leave documentation behind that if I'm jumping into the system and I need support, I can pull up the documents versus trying to find time for the individuals. So, documentation really makes a difference, especially in solving and implementing things. What happens a lot is as consulting firms, we come in, we do a project, we leave. A couple years later, a different consulting firm might come in, and then they're questioning, why was this done this way? And if the documentation isn't there, including why the decisions were made the way they were, it sometimes looks like, oh, the previous consulting firm didn't know what they were doing. That, in fact, might not be the case. It might be that at that time, these were the decisions that were made, these were the features that were available, and based on the information at hand, these were the best routes for the solutions that they implemented. Having that information will help the future also provide less churn in being able to work on the implementations and the work that we're doing. Also, just maintain that history of why these decisions were made and provide a lot more color to the current situation. Requirements gathering is one of my favorite things to do as a BA. And I think that part of me is still intact when I sit with customers today, even in pre sales. This is really where the meat of the project happens, right? Because again, if a problem came to me and the problem was we don't know how many opportunities we closed last month, I could just leave it at that and say, okay, I can create you a dashboard with a report showing you how many opportunities close at the end at every month. The problem's been solved. We've met the requirements. That's really not what it's about. It's about understanding what are the needs, why are we even solving for this, and digging deeper. So we call it peeling the onion. An onion has multiple layers. So usually when the problem is presented to you, you're getting the top layer of that onion. And the more questions you ask, the onion starts peeling and you finally get to the core of it. And it's like, oh, so the problem you're trying to solve is you don't know how to forecast for future work and have the right team in place. And that took a while to peel the onion. And that's where requirements gathering comes into play. What we want to do here is never solution. It's really hard to come into a requirements gathering session and not start designing the system. I urge you to make a rule. We have rules in our design workshops with our customers where we do not talk about technology. We actually call each other out. We're like, nope, we're not talking about technology. Remember, we're talking about the business. Let's bring it back to business. And sometimes, as I'm being the patrol in the room about not talking about technology, down the road, I'll start talking about technology, and our customers will be like, Pallavi, we're not talking about technology. And I'm like, you're right, we're not. So, in the requirements part, what you really want to do is focus on the business. We want to understand, why is business even having a problem? What is their problem? Is it truly that's the problem, or is there a deeper problem? Who's going to be impacted by this problem? If we solve this problem, what is the return going to be, the ROI? Is it going to save time, save money, both, create visibility? Like, what is it really going to do? Why are we solving for it? And all of that is focused on the business. And I guarantee you, as you do that and stay focused on the business, half the time you'll realize that they need to redefine their processes for the business before we even touch the system and build new things in the system. And that's why it's really important that as we ask the questions and continue to deeply dig into their requirements, we stay close to the business and not solution. I'm going to pause there and see if there's any questions or comments. Okay. Technical understanding. So, this is a debate in the industry is, do I need to go get all my certs before I can become a Salesforce admin or a Salesforce BA or be in the Salesforce ecosystem? The answer is no, you don't need all your certs. But in order for you to be a successful business analyst, you have to have a baseline foundation understanding of the system. If I personally do not have any certs, I have 0 certs, and hopefully one day I will get some. I keep trying to sit for exams, but I don't have the time. But what has made me successful through and through in my career has been to have a very good baseline understanding of what the systems I'm working on do. I'm not coding, I'm not configuring, I'm not getting deep into building the system. I've always stayed on the BA side of things and the business side of things in a functional role. But because I've had the ability to understand the core functionalities of our systems that we worked on, it helps me tie that gap between IT and business and really have the right technical understanding that when I'm doing business requirements, I'm asking questions in a way that I know my technical team will need those answers, but still staying to the business. That's where the technical understanding is fairly crucial. So another example I can give you here is my career. When I joined Accenture, I knew nothing about technical softwares. And my first project was PeopleSoft Financials, and we helped design an entire logistics system on it. Did not know anything about software at the time, But very quickly, as I was working in there as a QA, I learned it and I could understand the baseline functionalities of that system. Then over time, I went and did custom Java. I sat with my dev team. They explained to me what Java could do, how, and then I had the baseline understanding. Then eventually I did SAP CRM. Then I did Oracle CPQ. None of these I'm technically trained in, nor have certifications in. And then eventually I came over to Salesforce. With all of them, it was understanding what are the capabilities of the systems, what do they try to achieve, how does this impact the business, that helped me tie my business requirements with the technical understanding to be successful. Another big one is decision making. As a BA, and as you grow in your career from a BA to project lead and so forth, decision making is going to be put on your shoulders to a certain degree. So as we do requirement gathering, you also are constantly making decisions through those requirements. So a lot of times you'll hear, oh, this is very unique to our business. I need to have this because this is how it's always been done. And the more you can, the more you can ask the right questions and peel that onion down, you'll see that actually a lot of the things they're asking are not unique. So then you can go from recommending things that are custom to out of the box. And sometimes you may be like, you know what, this is very unique. I'm going to put that in this category over here, talk to my tech team and think through what are our options going to be to do something custom, because then there's going to be more tech debt and maintenance. So looking at options, figuring out which choice might be the better choice for the business, long term and short term, how many personas does it satisfy, all of that. That's the key decision making that's going to come through from the requirements that you're also gathering. Then the data analysis and visualization. Everything we do today, believe it or not, goes back to data. Everything in the systems we're building, at the end, we want reports and data to really understand why we're doing it. Is our business performing the way it should? And what can we do better to create efficiencies? Are we hitting our targets? In that regard, always think through as you're doing your requirements what the end goals are. So I always like to start our design sessions with, what are your goals? What are you trying to achieve? Think through what kind of data they might want to see, and then work backwards to build the system. So that way we can get the data that we need at the end of the day to make those decisions, have those visual representations for the business to make those executive decisions and stay competitive in the market. Adaptability is going to be a big one. I'm fairly old in the industry for working, but when I started, Agile did not exist. We all across the world, we were doing the waterfall approach. And then in 2008, Agile started picking up and we had to get trained on Agile. Now we went from years and years of doing waterfall to changing it to this new methodology of build now, test now, build now, test now, versus we would take a year-long project and for 6 months only take requirements. And then for another 3-4 months build, then for 2 months test, and so forth, right? Going from that to next week we're going to build, the week after we're going to test, then we're going to build again and test was very different. But we all had to adapt very quickly. So that's just one example of adaptability, of changing business needs, learning new technology. I think we're all adapting today with AI, being able to learn AI and adapt to AI and really think, level up with our skill set, gain the baseline knowledge of it, and then start incorporating it into our businesses to stay ahead of the curve with the technology changing. So that's what we mean by adaptability. And you're going to get that constantly with Salesforce, with the releases that come through, but also with the business. There's so many times business comes to us and says, this is urgent. And we start working on it. And then 3 weeks later, a new urgency comes up. And what was urgent last week is no longer urgent. So how do you pivot? So being agile and adaptable as a BA is going to be one of your biggest superpowers. So definitely continue to, my boss said it best back in the day, and it was like, Be comfortable with being uncomfortable. And that's the best way to talk about adaptability. And then the interpersonal and negotiation skills. This one really helps because a lot of times your stakeholders and your business will be like, your stakeholders in the business side will be like, this is what we want, this is how we do things. Technical side will be like, well, this is how it needs to be built. That's it. So you got to be the mediator to figure out what are the best solutions, what are the timelines, can we negotiate? And you'll negotiate a lot as a BA. There were times when I would look at my developers and be like, this is going to take 3 weeks. We're going to miss the timeline. And I'd sit there and be like, okay, what can we do to bring this in? And they were like, well, then we can't do this piece. I'm like, okay, hey, business, I can get this in, but I can't get this in. Are we okay with that? I think this is a higher priority. Let's get all of this in. We can always come back to this. You might have a pain point because you have to do some manual things. But we're doing them manually anyways today. But this bigger thing, it'll give you a better ROI. I'd like to get that in first with our team. Like, okay, that kind of stuff is all your negotiation. And people will only negotiate with you if they like you. It's as simple as that, if they like you. And in that, I don't mean become everyone's best friend. It's about having that interpersonal skill of understanding. So with our tech team, I always try to put myself in their shoes of I understand you're working on this build, you don't want to step away from the solution, you're deep in it, but I really do need you to pivot for when you have a minute to focus on this one thing that's critical or things like that. But making sure you understand where they're coming from, that's the interpersonal side where you're personally connecting with them because you understand their needs, their viewpoints, as well as the other viewpoints, and you're trying to mediate all of that. So, key takeaways would be you are the translator, as I mentioned, speaking two languages and trying to bring those two languages together. Always think about the data because at the end of the day, everything we're building is about the analysis of the business. Be agile and nimble. Communicate in a way that what I am saying you are receiving, what you are saying I am receiving, and always think through how to solve with the onion being peeled that we're getting to the right problem. Okay. Then this link will also give you some resources. And I always say, don't just take my word for it. I always like to bring some industry knowledge. So there's articles from Forbes and CIO magazine. And then there's also, if you're looking to get started, some trailhead modules that'll teach you some of the fundamentals of a BA. All right.
That's awesome. Thanks much, Pallavi. I do have some questions coming in.
Yay.
So, you have shared very good top skills that a BA should have. So, it is like a handy notes that everybody should have. Uh, there is a question about the pitfalls that a BA should try to avoid when discussions with the client or creating the documents, whatever along the different phases. What are the pitfalls that the BA can avoid?
I think one of the biggest things is as a BA, do not solution. So I just had one of my BAs, I asked them to go through our tickets to clean up the user stories. And they came back with all these solutions and technical terms. And like, hold on, what are we doing here? Because as a BA, I want the BA to focus on the business and come to me with all of the business things and let the technical team, like the architects who are going to review these tickets, solution. Come up with that solution. Then, if the BA wants to get their hands involved and be more hands on, they can then work with the technical team on that solution and build it. But in the beginning, one of the biggest pitfalls I see is the way the documents are written are more in a technical way. So, an example was I think we said we wanted the capability of capturing X data, and the BA turned the user story into we need to understand what kind of pick list we need, what data field, what are going to be the requirements for this data field. And I was like, wait, why are we talking about data fields? And that's the difference. Like, write it in a business way, right? The business has a need for this because they're trying to accomplish this. Leave it there. And then that itself will spur more questions of peeling that onion instead of right off the bat trying to solution it.
That's a great question. And I do have another question about managing the conflicts.
Yep.
So, uh, when there is a conflict of interest or conflict of opinions or the decisions, how to manage.
So that one's interesting because you in a team as a BA, you will always manage conflicts. You will always have conflicts because the technical team, um, I love my architects, they're amazing. But at times when a new feature comes out, they're like, oh, we can solution it with this. And they want to just use that solution, right? And that's not always the right answer. So it's about, again, building those interpersonal skills to, one, understand where are they coming from? Why are they recommending the things they're recommending? Why are they adamant in their stance for this one particular thing? And then negotiating with them, right? Okay, I understand you really want to do it this way, but is this truly the only way we can do this, or are there other options, right? Just posing questions. So a lot of times when I'm managing conflict, I start asking questions instead of giving my own opinions or de- um, trying to guide them one way. I just say, okay, tell me why you feel this way. All right, let me see what I can do. Then I try to go understand the other party of why do we feel this way. And then really come back and say, okay, be transparent and honest, right? I understand you want to do it this way, but we have a very short timeline. We got to get this done, and the business does not want to have custom stuff. So yes, I understand that they're not going to get all the features they want. They're only going to get 3 of the 5 because to do all 5, we need to go custom and we should follow your solution. That's not what the business wants. So let's give them the 3 out of 5. I'll let them know they're going to get 3 of 5. So it's about that negotiation and transparency.
That's wonderful, Pallavi. And I do see one other question. So, there are some situations when the requirements are not clear and also the client are not open. Not everybody from the stakeholders team they will be sharing the information. So
Yeah.
in certain situations like that, when the project requirements are not clear, or when the implementation has started and then the requirements keeps changing. So, do you have any suggestions on how to handle those situations?
Um, that one's a tough one because you will get like, okay, you're always going to have difficult clients. I don't think I've ever not had a difficult client in my days of consulting before I started Candor. And in those, what one thing I learned is accountability matters. So what I would do is anytime, and we do it today as best practice, is when clients give us the requirements, we document it, then we send them that document and we say, please know this is, we call it the Holy Grail, right? Like, this is going to be your Bible to build. I want to make sure we heard what you were saying, we understood what you were saying. It's documented here. Can you review it and confirm it? So that way, the liability and accountability is on our customer. Because if they sign that and they didn't give us everything, they signed it and it was inaccurate, then for them, now the accountability is on them because as we build and we test, and if they're like, well, this isn't what I wanted, we can take them back to that documentation and say, this is what you approved. Because you're not always going to have clients peel that onion with you. There's also an art of how to ask the right questions to get them to peel that onion. So, and that's something like I can't just give you like here's how you do it. It's an art. And I think the more you just do it of asking the right questions and getting to the things, and the more you learn as you gather requirements and you realize later that, oh, I should have also asked this, and I could have asked this, and the technical team needed this. You just have to go through some of those cycles, and the more you do it, the more practice you've had, right? And the more you practice, the better you get. So over time, you start looking for those things right away rather than waiting. And then you learn an art of asking it in a way that even if they don't want to disclose it, they end up disclosing it. But that takes time. And in the scenarios that they really don't disclose it, we always have them sign that requirements document to make sure they understand that this is what we're using. We're not using any other information.
I like that answer, Pallavi. And I see a question, a comment in the chat about sharing the code again. So here's the code BD hyphen special hyphen 20, and here's the registration link. So you can find the link also on the website. So make sure you copy that. I'm gonna remove the screen share shortly. And moving on to the next question, Pallavi, I see a question on managing the time or managing the projects when working on multiple projects at the same time. So we often see some situations wherein a business analyst ends up supporting multiple projects because then they're only partially built to that project. So in those situations, how to manage?
How to manage your own time, or what are we talking about? Because time management is the key to any consultant. And if we're talking about just how do I manage my time being on multiple projects, I think that's really up to you being able to estimate your like your work assignments better and setting time on your calendar and blocking time to ensure that you have that focus time to get your work done. Another way to set expectations with timing is making sure that people know that you're on multiple engagements, that you're not fully available on this one engagement, that you do have other projects and other assignments. And again, letting your calendar speak for itself. So there's those two ways. And then the other is where, and we're all guilty of it, especially as managers, is I have my team on multiple engagements, but sometimes one engagement takes precedence over others. So, but the other engagements um, cannot suffer. So, in that regard, what I always urge my team to do is manage up. So, if I'm telling you I need you in this meeting, and this meeting, and this meeting for this one customer, but I also need you to finish your documentation for the second customer, and you only have 8 hours in the day, speak up and let the person know, like, hey, yes, I can do that, but do you want me to reshift my priorities from this to this? Which one is the priority? And sometimes I'll come back and say, you know what, don't worry about client two right now. That meeting's not for another week or so. We can push the deadlines back a little bit. Let's focus on client one. Or, oh, you know what, you're right. No, client two also needs that stuff. Go ahead and skip this one meeting. I'll handle it so you can focus and get both done. But because they let me know what their availability is and what their bandwidth is, and then asked me for the priorities, we had a conversation about it, and that helped manage their time, our time, and collectively the project time. Is anyone still there?
Oh, I'm sorry. So I was asking the question, didn't realize that I wasn't on the stage. So for somebody who is transitioning to the Salesforce career and who worked as a BA in their past career, so I see you also talked about adaptability, learning multiple features, multiple tools, and also with Salesforce we do have multiple clouds as well. So how what do you suggest about adaptability and also for somebody who is transitioning into the Salesforce career?
So this one is
Sorry about that.
this one I'm gonna say in a way that is not always politically correct. Your skill sets are your skill sets. As I mentioned to you, I started my career not knowing any technology. Then I didn't know Salesforce when I joined Acumen. Um, I didn't know Oracle CPQ when I joined my Oracle CPQ firm. I didn't know SAP CRM when I joined that firm. It wasn't about my technology skill set that they were hiring me for. They were hiring me for the ability to run programs, the ability to build relationships with my customers, to the ability to deliver global successful programs on time, on budget. Those are all my skill sets that are not a certification, right? So think about if you're already a BA and you're just trying to get into the Salesforce ecosystem, you're already in the Salesforce ecosystem. Just go find a BA job. You don't have to necessarily have the certs and know the product inside out. You just need to know what Salesforce does and what the product's capable of. So having that baseline understanding from a foundation perspective, and then you can skill up as you're on those engagements. Don't want anyone to think that barrier to entry in the ecosystem is just the certs. It's not. We don't hire people for just the certs today. You could have 30 certs, but if you don't show me that you have experience or transferable skills from your previous roles, it doesn't matter to me. So it's that intersection of having the technical knowledge, whether it's through certs or not, and your previous experience of what's transferable, and then how you fit into any role in the company, regardless of whether it's a Salesforce company or a Salesforce project. We have people that have worked on our Salesforce engagements that were new to Salesforce, but they had the right interpersonal and transferable skills from their previous roles that still made them the right fit for these roles on our Salesforce projects.
That's wonderful. I got the answer. So, um, I don't see any other questions. I'm waiting if anybody has any questions. So we do have a few more minutes. Anybody has any questions, please post them in the comment section. I think that is all, Pallavi. Thank you very much. It was great.
Thank you for having me. Hopefully, this was helpful for everybody. Really appreciate your time. And hopefully, you will all be going to Para Dreaming. And maybe you can all send me a picture from there once you're all together because I'll definitely be missing it. And I'm sad
Nice.
about
We all are excited.
it.
And we're gonna miss you this time, Pallavi,
I
but hopefully next
know.
time.
I know. Hopefully, next year, though, right? So
Yeah.
awesome. All right.
Thank
Well,
you.
thank you, everybody.
Thanks everyone. Hope to see you
Thanks,
again.
everyone.
Bye.
Thank you so much. Thanks, Valerie. ये तो इन्होंने खुद ने दिया होगा